Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk about Project Phoenix. Got some updates. I'm going to show you all a quick walk around. Got some cleaning done, prep work for doing more body work. I'll show you where I'm at on the car. First off, thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. If you have any questions, you can hit me up or you can email me at foxjunk73@gmail.com. One of the last video I made, I had a couple questions about paint, why don't I use epoxy. I answered that question in the forums, but I'll be glad to talk about that as well when I'm walking around this car, show you where I'm at. So let's talk about it first. Epoxy primer. Don't really care for it. Used it in the past. I would say that's something that my dad, they started using back in the day. I do not mind using on something like a truck frame that I just had sandblasted, hit it with some epoxy, let it set for 3 or 4 hours and hit it with some nice satin black or semi-gloss single stage paint. It's good for that. Also, like an engine bay, be good for that as well. If you watch Project Field Snake, I did use epoxy on the inside floor pan for that. I had all that repaired. I hit it with epoxy. I let it set for, I want to say 3 or 4 hours. Then I went back and put base and cleared over top of it. For something like that, it's perfectly fine. The only advantage I will say over epoxy is it's non-porous. It doesn't have any, when I say porous, it doesn't allow, like if I sandblasted something, I put epoxy on it and let it cure for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 hours. But first off, epoxy never really cures. It's always, that's why I don't like it. It never really hardens up like a 2K or an Etch primer. But back to epoxy, like I said, it's non-porous. You can put it on, you can let it dry for 3 or 4 hours, and if you put your frame out and it gets rained on, it's not gonna rust. It's not porous. Etch primer, it is a porous type primer, which means it's got small. You would never see them unless you had like a magnifying glass or something or some shit like that. So you can't put etch primer on an engine bay or a body and put it out and let it sit in the rain. It'll get through. It'll start rusting from underneath. The reason I use etch primer is when I sand these cars down. The hood is a prime example. I should have videoed that yesterday when I did the hood. Although the hood looked really nice in original paint, there was like 20 or 30 spots of just needle-sized surface spot rust everywhere underneath the original paint and the original e-coat and primer. So spots like that you can hit with 80 grit, and yeah, you're going to get it all off to the naked eye, but that's just the naked eye. It's still going to be so minute you can't see it. Etch primer has acetone in it, and I've discussed this before. It kills that little light surface rust that you can't see or that you possibly have missed just because you can't see it. So that's why I like to use etch primer on bare metal, not epoxy, because epoxy does not kill any rust. All it does is it permanently seals that bare metal up from the elements, which etch primer does not do. So that's really the only benefit to an epoxy primer. You still have to put a nice 2K primer or urethane primer or whatever on top of that if you're going to do body work and block it and sand it. You're not going to use epoxy as a block primer. That's the worst shit in the world to try to block with. It just doesn't like to block at all. So if I'm going to do that, I might as well put the etch primer on her. It's going to kill the rust. Put a 2K on it, block it, and I'm done. Now, 2K is also a porous primer, so don't put it out in the weather. If it's going to rain, it'll get through that as well. My cars, now if you're going to wet sand them or whatever, that's not going to hurt it. I mean, don't let it sit outside. Longevity with 2K and etch primer on it, it will start to get through. It takes 6 to 8 months to do it, but it will get through. So that's me covering why I don't use epoxy. I just don't like the shit. I've never liked it. It always has a little gummy feel to it. It doesn't sand very well. That clogs up paper. And I think he said that I don't buy it because it's cheaper. I assure you it's not money related and at all. Epoxy primer is actually cheaper than the etch primer that I use, the Finish One etch primer. I can buy epoxy primer for I think $36 a quart plus activator. Was it $40 some a quart? My etch primer's almost $300 a gallon now, so it's definitely not cost. That's not it. I've been doing this for 30 years and I've covered this before. This is how I do it. It's my way of doing it. Is it the way all body shop guys do it? No, it's not, but it works for me and I'll continue to do it because it does work for me. So that being said, let's show you Project Phoenix, where I'm at. The fenders are done, the trunk is done, they're in the other shop put up. I got the hood done yesterday. I got the quarter windows out today, all the trim pulled off, the top cleaned up. Gonna strip the top to bare metal. I got all my little dings marked so I know where they're at. I got the window cut out. It's still sitting there, but I got the window cut out. So I always try to do that before I do any body work. That way I don't scratch the primer or the paint or whatever after I'm done. So without further ado, let's check it out. All right, so this Phoenix, got it ready for doing the top. You can see my little black circles. I got a little dent right here. There's one here, and I think the other side's got 2 little ones. But other than that, you can see how straight the roof of this damn car is. Again, I've got all the trim off front and rear. Now I tape up my windows because I come down on the sand here, and sometimes you get in a hurry and you overshoot your roof and you hit the glass, and then you got sanding marks in your glass, and that's never a good day. So yeah, I've got that done. Now right in here where they let it, I'm going to work this a little bit, straighten that out some, so you can't see that as much as you can from the factory. Got a little dinger right here, and I think there's one in the door. Like I said, the front window, I've got it all cut out all the way around. I cut that out this morning. All the trim's off. Like I said, the quarter windows are out. I'll walk around the other side here. Excuse my mess. So the reason I tape up all this, again, is so I don't hit the window with my sander. It'll keep all the dirt out of the car. Don't have to go in because I got no quarter windows in it now. But the car itself, y'all, super straight little car. It's gonna make such an amazing car. But yeah, that's the roof out there. So there's Project Field Snake sitting out there. Also, I'm gonna throw up a video on Field Snake. It's for sale. A friend of mine's got a car for sale. It's one that I built a couple years ago. I really want the car back, but if he sells it before I can get this one sold, then I'm just gonna keep what I have. It's not a Fox body, it's something different. I did the car, I don't know, 4 years ago. Ground up restoration. Really love to have it back, but the only way I can swing it is to let that go. That's heartbreaking, I know, but I've got 4 or 5 more 93 Cobras sitting around here. One less isn't going to kill me, so it is what it is. So this Project Phoenix, this update. Oh, check the hood out. I do have the hood off, as you can see. It's just sitting there. I'm gonna lift it up. I took the hood off the car, stripped it to bare metal yesterday. It only had one little small ding in it, so it's ready to block. I should have blocked it today, but I'm gonna do that tomorrow. As you can see, we fixing to get us a little storm again. So got to get the cars inside. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at on Project Phoenix. Like I said, fenders are done. Hood's pretty much done. Trunk's done. Shouldn't take too much time to knock out the roof and the quarters and doors once I get to it. The big thing was stripping the rest of the interior to get the quarter glass out, getting all the roof trim off. I actually spent probably, I think, 4 hours trimming all that out this morning, getting all the goop for the drip rails off. Anybody that's stripped these cars knows that's some nasty shit. So pretty nasty. But again, this is Phoenix. Just a quick update, quick walk around. If you have any questions, sorry to rant about materials, but that's just how I do it. I tried epoxy back in the day, but Etch Prime and 2K works for me, and I'll just leave it at that. If you got a different way you do it, that's fine. I respect that. That's your way, but this is my way, and I'll keep doing that till somebody can prove to me a better method. How's that? Again, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you have any questions or comments below, or foxjunk73@gmail.com. And again, you guys have a good day.